Welcome to GridShare's educational program. This short video will help you understand how to make an investment using gridshare.com and the risks and benefits of crowdfunding. GridShare is an online funding platform that hosts investment opportunities from independent issuers focused on the clean tech and renewable energy industries. We are registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. As a registered funding platform, GridShare does not actually issue securities. Instead, it provides investors access to clean tech and renewable energy investment opportunities around the world. GridShare then serves as an independent intermediary in facilitating those investments. Issuers can list equity or debt offerings on gridshare.com. Non-equity donations are also accepted. Equity offerings include the sale of shares of stock in a corporation or membership interests in a limited liability company. These securities can be either common shares or preferred shares. Preferred shares have certain superior rights, such as preference in payment of dividends, whereas common shares have no special rights. For example, a company looking to develop a new clean energy technology may sell common shares to finance the development of its new product. So, owners of shares in a company actually own a piece of that company. Debt offerings are a loan to the issuer. They include the sale of notes or bonds to finance particular projects or a company's operations. Investors are called lenders and are paid back in the form of interest, in addition to the original loan amount or principal. For example, an issuer might sell notes or bonds to finance the development of a solar energy project. Over a set period of time, the investor's money is returned to them, plus interest. Donations, of course, are contributions in a company or project. Donations are non-equity interest, and therefore investors will not receive anything but gratitude in return for their funding. Donations can be a perfect boost for nonprofit organizations and institutions like schools and religious congregations to leverage their social media and online networks to build renewable energy projects. As a company that believes in the potential for clean tech and renewable energy to solve the world's most pressing environmental problems, GridShare supports environmentally minded nonprofit organizations by encouraging our users to donate to these worthwhile causes. Once an issuer selects which type of investment they are offering, they must then determine which regulatory exemptions apply to the offering. GridShare hosts 4 classes of offerings. Crowdfunding offerings subject to SEC regulation crowdfunding. These offerings are limited to $1 million. Regulation A+ offerings, or mini IPOs, are subject to SEC Regulation A+. These offerings are for companies seeking to raise up to $50 million. Regulation D offerings are only available to accredited investors or high net worth individuals. There is no investment limit for Regulation D offerings. Foreign deals may or may not be subject to crowdfunding laws in the country where the deal is located. For these offerings, GridShare will work closely with local partners to ensure that issuers comply with all applicable laws and regulations. Once an offering has been approved by GridShare's team, based on our strict listing criteria, the offering will go live online and available for investment. GridShare users can then browse the investment opportunities, ask questions to the issuer, and explore financial documents in order to learn as much as possible about the offering. When the user feels comfortable with the opportunity, they click the Invest Now button to purchase securities. The money is transferred to our third-party escrow agent until the issuer has reached its fundraising target. At that time, the money is released from escrow to the issuer. It's important to remember that an offering must be online for a minimum of 21 days before it can close. If, by the offering deadline, the issuer has not met its target funding amount, the offering will be canceled and the investor's funds will be returned. Investors can cancel their investment up to 48 hours prior to the offering deadline, and if the issuer makes any material changes to the offering, they must notify investors and have them reconfirm or cancel their investment. How does GridShare make money? GridShare is compensated from fees that vary by the type of offering. For crowd-funded offerings, GridShare earns a % of the funds raised. For Regulation A+ and Regulation D offerings, GridShare earns a listing fee based on the number of investments. In addition, GridShare offers a variety of optional services to help the issuer in preparing the offering, including preparing offering materials and assisting with SEC filings. Alright, let's dive a little deeper into the exciting world of crowdfunding. We'll look now at the basics of how crowdfunding works, the limits on investors in terms of the size of the investments that they are allowed to make, the risks associated with investment in crowdfunded securities, the restrictions on reselling securities purchased on gridshare.com, what information an issuer is required to provide to investors, the need for an investor to consider whether investing in a crowdfunding offering is appropriate, and other exciting facts about regulation crowdfunding. Equity is really just another way of saying ownership in something. In the financial world, equity ownership is represented by securities, which are financial instruments representing an interest by the investor, also known as the holder, in a company. The company selling securities is called the issuer. When an investor purchases securities from an issuer, they essentially own a percentage of their company. Each share represents ownership in a piece of the company. Debt, on the other hand, is not ownership in a company, but does entitle the holder to a return on their investment in the form of interest payments. In the U.S., securities are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, which has adopted regulation crowdfunding pursuant to the Jobs, or Jumpstart Our Business Startups, Act. The law became active in May of 2016. How much can I invest in a crowdfunded offering? Under the law, regulation crowdfunding limits an individual's investment in any calendar year based on the net worth or income of the investor. For investors with an income or net worth less than $100,000, the investment is limited to the greater of $2,000 or 5% of the investor's annual income or net worth. For investors with an income or net worth equal to or greater than $100,000, the investment is limited to 10% of the lesser of the investor's annual income or the investor's net worth capped at $100,000. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. This is Bob. He has an annual income of $120,000 and a net worth of $500,000. Each year, Bob can invest $12,000 in crowdfunding offerings, which is 10% of his annual income, which is less than his net worth. Here's another example. Alice makes $75,000 per year and has a net worth of $50,000. Each year, Alice can invest $2,500 in crowdfunding opportunities, which is the greater of $2,000 or $2,500, 5% of her net worth, which is less than her annual income. And here's our last example. Charles has an annual income of $50,000 and a net worth of $30,000. Charles can invest $2,000, which is greater than 5% of his net worth, or $1,500. There are a number of risks that all investors should be concerned about when exploring investment equity and debt opportunities. First, with either offering, it is possible to lose your entire investment. Second, with equity offerings, dilution can significantly reduce the investment by reducing the value of each share the investor owns. This occurs when a company issues additional shares to new investors, thereby diluting the ownership interest of the older investors. Dilution is not all bad, however, as the issuance of additional shares may cause the value of the company to increase due to the additional capital investment, which may actually increase the value of the investor's original investment. Restrictions on voting power can also diminish the value of the shares. With debt, investors should look at how secure the loan is. Debt securities entitle the holder to a payment of interest and principal from the issuer. Debt can be secured or unsecured. With secured debt, lenders have a lien, also known as a security interest on certain discrete assets, such as a solar project or a company's stock. In the event of default, lenders can foreclose on those assets supporting the debt. With unsecured debt, lenders do not have a security interest in any assets. Their only recourse is to sue the borrower. Debt can also be non-recourse, which means that in the event of default, the lender cannot sue the borrower. Rather, the lender will have the assets as collateral. So what can you do to reduce the investment risks? The first and most important tool any investor can have is information. By law, every issuer using regulation crowdfunding is required to file a Form C with the SEC. This form contains various disclosures that help potential investors understand the risks, benefits, and financial strength of the issuer. After reviewing all the information, ask questions to the issuer via GridShare's discussion platform to better understand the offering. If you are new to investing, you should definitely rely on the advice of experienced investors and lawyers who can help you assess an investment opportunity and conduct any necessary due diligence. No investment is without risk, so take your time and review the offering fully before jumping in. Let's look at some common questions about investing on gridshare.com. First, about reselling securities. If you purchase shares, notes, or bonds on gridshare.com, can you sell the securities to someone else? The answer is yes, but you have to wait at least 1 year from the date they were issued to you. However, you can sell them to an accredited investor, i.e. someone whose net worth is in excess of $1 million and income levels in excess of $200,000 per year, if the issuer goes public, or to a family member, or transfer them to a family trust. If I invest, what information can I expect from the issuer? Issuers are required to file and post annual reports on their website, which include financial statements certified by a principal of the issuer. The annual report needs to include much of the disclosure information contained in the issuer's Form C. Can I lose my money with crowdfunding? Yes. You need to consider if the investment is appropriate in your situation. For example, can you afford to lose the money you'd invest in the offering? Do you need securities that generate regular income rather than shares in a venture company that might pay a return someday? Don't rely only on statements made by the issuer. Do research so that you can make an informed decision. Investing is a big decision. We encourage you to talk to investment professionals to determine what type of investment works best for you. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, please call or email us anytime.